The isolation you've been experiencing was never a punishment, and it was never proof that you were unwanted. It only felt that way because you were measuring it through human emotion instead of spiritual strategy. When people started drifting away, when invitations slowed down, when conversations became shallow and connections felt forced, you assumed something was wrong with you. You questioned your personality, your worth, your timing. But what if the separation was intentional? What if every closed door, every silent phone, every lonely night was not rejection but divine protection repositioning you for something greater? Being chosen has a pattern. Before elevation, there is separation. Before clarity, there is quiet. Before public recognition, there is private refinement. You were removed from certain rooms because your spirit could not grow in noise. You were detached from certain relationships because familiarity was suffocating your evolution. The very people you tried so hard to hold onto were unknowingly limiting the expansion that had already begun inside you. So life forced distance. Not to wound you, but to wean you. Isolation exposes what distraction hides. When you are alone, you can no longer escape yourself. There are no external validations to lean on, no applause to fuel you, no constant reassurance to quiet your doubts. You are left face to face with your thoughts, your fears, your gifts, and your unfinished healing. That confrontation is uncomfortable. It feels like abandonment at first. But in reality, it is construction. You cannot be rebuilt while constantly entertaining what broke you. You thought you were losing community, but you were actually losing dependency. There is a difference. Dependency keeps you small because it teaches you to seek identity through others. Community will return later, healthier and aligned. But first, you had to learn who you were without an audience. You had to discover your voice without echoes. You had to strengthen your faith without constant confirmation. That only happens in solitude. Notice how your awareness sharpened when you were alone. You started recognizing patterns you once ignored. You saw manipulation you previously excused. You felt energies more clearly. Your intuition grew louder. That sensitivity was not weakness, it was awakening. Isolation heightens perception because there are fewer distractions competing for your attention. In silence, truth becomes undeniable. There were nights you cried, wondering why it felt like you were fighting battles by yourself. But the truth is, you were being trained to stand without leaning. Chosen ones cannot rely on constant support because their assignment will require inner stability. When criticism comes, when misunderstanding rises, when jealousy surfaces, you must not crumble. Isolation builds that resilience. It teaches you how to self-regulate, how to pray deeper, how to think independently, how to move strategically. Rejection would have destroyed your confidence. Preparation strengthens it. The difference lies in perspective. If you believe you were cast aside, you will shrink. If you understand you were set apart, you will grow. Being set apart means your path cannot mirror everyone else's timeline. You cannot move at the same pace, make the same compromises, or tolerate the same mediocrity. That difference creates distance. Not because you are superior, but because you are assigned differently. You may have noticed that when you tried to return to old environments, something felt off. Conversations felt surface level. Humor felt forced. Ambition felt small. It wasn't arrogance. It was evolution. Your appetite changed. What once entertained you no longer satisfies you. What once felt normal now feels limiting. That internal shift is proof that isolation was doing its work. There is also protection in your solitude. Not everyone celebrating you today would have survived the version of you that is emerging. Some connections were seasonal, designed only to accompany you through a phase. If they had remained, they might have sabotaged your confidence, diluted your vision, or projected their fears onto your calling. Distance preserved your focus. It prevented contamination during a critical stage of growth. Growth requires pruning. A tree cannot expand if dead branches are not removed. The cutting looks violent. It feels like loss. But pruning is evidence of expected fruit. No gardener trims what has no future. The very areas where you felt cut the deepest may be the areas where you are about to produce the most. Isolation also forces discipline. When you are alone, your habits become your true companions. You either build or you deteriorate. There is no one to impress. No one to compete with. No one to distract you from your responsibilities. This is where character is formed. This is where consistency is tested. This is where excuses lose their power because there is no audience to perform for. Think about how much stronger your internal dialogue has become. You talk yourself through anxiety now. You motivate yourself when energy drops. You correct yourself when you slip. That self-leadership is priceless. If you had remained constantly surrounded, you might have outsourced your strength to others. Now you know how to generate it from within. Isolation refines your standards. It shows you what peace feels like, even if it is quiet. Once you experience peace, chaos becomes intolerable. Drama becomes exhausting. Surface relationships become obvious. You start craving depth, authenticity, and alignment. That craving is evidence that your environment must match your evolution. You were not rejected. You were redirected. You were not abandoned. You were assembled. Every moment alone was adding layers to your discernment, your confidence, your emotional intelligence, your spiritual sensitivity. What felt like being hidden was actually being honed. What felt like silence was instruction. What felt like emptiness was space being cleared for something that requires a stronger, wiser, more self-aware version of you. The pressure you've been feeling is not random, and it is not meant to break you. It feels intense because it signals transition. Whenever promotion is near, pressure increases. Not because you are failing, but because you are stretching beyond your current capacity. Expansion is uncomfortable. Growth feels like resistance before it feels like reward. And what you've been interpreting as attack may actually be evidence that you are advancing. Think about the timing. The moment you decided to level up, distractions multiplied. The moment you committed to discipline, temptations grew stronger. The moment you began healing, old triggers resurfaced. That pattern is not coincidence. When you are about to move into a higher dimension of responsibility, everything unlike that level becomes agitated. Pressure exposes what cannot ascend with you. Spiritual pressure often shows up as emotional heaviness, unexplained fatigue, heightened sensitivity, or sudden opposition. You may have noticed people reacting to you differently. Some became distant. Some became competitive. Some tried to provoke you out of character. That reaction is not about who you used to be. It is about who you are becoming. Elevation disrupts comfort zones. When your frequency rises, anything operating at a lower level feels threatened. Pressure is also proof of capacity. You are not given weight you cannot carry. The very fact that you are still standing, still thinking, still seeking clarity means you are stronger than you realized. If you were meant to collapse, you would have already. The pressure didn't destroy you, it revealed endurance you didn't know you possessed. Consider how diamonds are formed. Intense pressure over time transforms ordinary carbon into something rare and unbreakable. Without pressure, there is no refinement. Without compression, there is no brilliance. The heat you feel is not random friction, it is transformation in motion. You are being compressed into clarity. Promotion requires preparation. You cannot handle greater influence, greater visibility, greater responsibility without internal stability. Pressure builds that stability. It forces you to confront insecurities before they sabotage you publicly. It exposes weaknesses privately so they can be strengthened before the spotlight finds you. The resistance you feel now is training for the weight you are about to carry. Notice how your reactions are being tested. Situations arise that tempt you to respond impulsively. People say things designed to trigger you. Opportunities appear that look appealing but misaligned. Each moment is a test of alignment. Can you remain disciplined when no one is watching? Can you remain humble when you feel overlooked? Can you remain patient when progress seems delayed? These are promotion qualifiers. Spiritual pressure also clarifies loyalty. Not everyone can handle the version of you that is rising. As your vision sharpens, misaligned relationships reveal themselves. Conversations feel different. Priorities shift. You may sense a quiet separation happening without conflict. That separation is not loss, it is filtration. Promotion filters your environment. It keeps what aligns and removes what distracts. The pressure may also feel internal. You expect more from yourself now. You can no longer tolerate procrastination the way you once did. You feel restless when you waste time. You sense urgency where there used to be comfort. That internal shift is elevation knocking. You are being stretched beyond average expectations. You cannot shrink back to old standards because your awareness has expanded. There is also a spiritual law at work. New levels require new mindsets. Before you step into increased influence, your thinking must mature. Pressure exposes limiting beliefs. It brings doubt to the surface so it can be challenged. It confronts fear so courage can be chosen intentionally. You are being mentally upgraded. When promotion is near, distractions often disguise themselves as comfort. You might feel tempted to settle, to return to familiar habits, to reconnect with environments that require less growth. That temptation intensifies because comfort resists change. But the discomfort you feel now is evidence that you are outgrowing old patterns. Pressure is the signal that your current container is too small for your next dimension. You may have also noticed an increase in responsibility. More expectations. More tasks. More people depending on you. It feels overwhelming at times. But responsibility expands before recognition does. You are being trained to manage what you have not yet fully received. The wait is practice. Even the delays you experience are part of the pressure. Waiting stretches patience. It builds endurance. It forces faith to mature beyond surface belief. If everything happened instantly, you would not develop the emotional strength required to sustain success. The waiting refines your character. Pressure reveals authenticity. Under strain, pretense fades. You see who you truly are. You discover whether your discipline is conditional or consistent. You learn whether your faith depends on convenience or conviction. The wait removes masks. It shows you your real foundation. There will be moments when you question whether the intensity is worth it. When you wonder why the road feels steeper lately. But steep roads lead to higher ground. Easy paths rarely produce strong leaders. If the resistance has increased, it is because the altitude is changing. The opposition you sense is confirmation that movement is happening. When you were stagnant, there was little resistance. When you were blending in, there was no friction. But now that you are advancing, you are encountering pushback. Friction is proof of motion. You are not under pressure because you are failing. You are under pressure because you are forming. You are being shaped into someone capable of carrying influence without arrogance, authority without insecurity, visibility without losing identity. The weight is calibrating you. The tension is aligning you. The resistance is strengthening you for a dimension that requires more discipline, more discernment, more courage than you have ever needed before. There is a version of you that only exists in private. No filters. No applause. No performance. Just your raw discipline, your silent prayers, your unseen decisions. That version determines everything. What you do behind closed doors carries more power than what you display in public. Because public influence is simply the overflow of private obedience. Obedience in private is not glamorous. It looks like choosing restraint when no one would know if you didn't. It looks like studying when you could scroll. It looks like praying when you feel tired. It looks like turning down conversations that entertain your ego but drain your spirit. It looks like correcting your own attitude before anyone calls you out. These moments are small, almost invisible. But they are the hinges that swing large doors. Most people chase visibility before they build integrity. They want recognition without refinement. They want platforms without preparation. But real power is entrusted, not grabbed. And it is entrusted to those who have proven faithful in secret. If you cannot manage your time when no one is watching, you will mismanage opportunities when everyone is. If you cannot control your emotions in solitude, you will lose credibility in public pressure. Private obedience builds alignment. Alignment between your words and your actions. Between your beliefs and your behavior. When there is no audience, there is no incentive to pretend. You either live what you claim or you don't. That honesty strengthens your foundation. It creates internal confidence that applause cannot give and criticism cannot take away. You have felt moments where doing the right thing cost you comfort. Where discipline felt lonely. Where integrity meant walking away from shortcuts. Those decisions may have seemed small at the time, but they were deposits into your future authority. Authority without integrity collapses under exposure. Authority with integrity expands under scrutiny. There is also a spiritual sensitivity that grows in private spaces. When you shut out noise, your discernment sharpens. You begin to sense what aligns and what doesn't. You hear intuition more clearly. You recognize subtle warnings before obvious consequences. That clarity cannot develop in constant distraction. It requires quiet obedience. Closing the door is symbolic. It represents choosing focus over chaos. It represents intentional separation from influences that dilute your vision. In that room, you confront yourself. Your habits. Your motives. Your fears. You refine them. You discipline them. You strengthen them. That process is where real transformation happens. Public power is often mistaken for charisma or influence. But true power is consistency. The ability to remain disciplined whether praised or ignored. The strength to maintain standards whether supported or opposed. That consistency is forged privately. It is built through routines no one celebrates. Through sacrifices no one sees. Through corrections no one applauds. Think about how trust is formed. Not through grand speeches, but through repeated reliability. In the same way, spiritual authority is developed through repeated obedience. Every time you choose patience over reaction, you increase your capacity. Every time you choose preparation over procrastination, you expand your readiness. Every time you choose humility over ego, you protect your future. There are doors that will only open when your character can sustain what's behind them. Influence magnifies everything. It magnifies your strengths, but it also magnifies your weaknesses. Private obedience minimizes those weaknesses before they are amplified. It strengthens your discipline so that success does not intoxicate you. It deepens your humility so that praise does not control you. You may wonder why progress sometimes feels slow. Why recognition doesn't immediately follow effort. But delay is often protection. You are being given time to build roots. Roots are invisible, but they determine stability. A tree with shallow roots cannot withstand strong winds. A person with shallow discipline cannot withstand strong attention. Obedience in private also builds self-respect. When you know the effort you've put in, you carry yourself differently. You speak with conviction because you have lived your principles in silence. You move with confidence because your foundation is solid. That energy is felt, even if it is not announced. There is a temptation to perform spirituality instead of practicing it. To post growth instead of embodying it. But performance fades when pressure rises. Practice endures. What you rehearse privately becomes natural publicly. If you rehearse discipline, you respond with discipline. If you rehearse patience, you respond with patience. Your private habits become your public reflexes. You have been called to close the door not as an escape, but as a preparation chamber. In that space, distractions lose their influence. Comparisons lose their power. Validation loses its grip. You begin to operate from purpose instead of applause. That shift changes everything. Power is not loud. It is controlled. It is steady. It is anchored. And anchoring happens in private. The conversations you have with yourself matter. The standards you uphold when no one checks matter. The effort you give when results are unseen matters. When the door eventually opens and you step into greater visibility, you will not be scrambling to adjust your character. You will already be shaped. You will not be overwhelmed by responsibility. You will be conditioned for it. You will not be shaken by criticism. You will be grounded in who you became when no one was looking. Private obedience is the unseen architecture of public influence. It is the silent agreement between your potential and your discipline. It is the daily choice to align with your higher calling even when comfort whispers otherwise. It is the decision to master yourself before attempting to lead others. And every time you honor that decision behind closed doors, you are unlocking levels of authority, clarity, and confidence that will eventually manifest in ways that cannot be ignored.